Hello, how's it going, guys? Thanks for being here. This is The World. Maldini, your channel. This guy, Pedri, has put on an absolute show again. Let's analyze the match that Barca won. 1-4 against Sevilla. I just mentioned it on Cope. An outrageous performance by Pedri, who honestly makes the extraordinary seem routine day in and day out. Also, at the level Pedri is playing, what he did today in Sevilla, it was spectacular. Not just Pedri, the whole Barca team played a very complete match. But then with Fermin's red card, which we will analyze, of course, Barca is left with 10 players. And from there, they even score a fourth goal. But from that point on, logically, the match, it's not the same for Barca anymore. I think Sevilla escaped a significant defeat because of Fermin's red card, as it logically slowed down Barca. But Barca is back. The best Barca is back. Friends of Mundo, Maldini, we have a spectacular league. Barca is now just 2 points behind Real Madrid and 1 point behind Atletico Madrid. The only negative note for Barca has been, aside from Fermin's red card, Araujo's injury. We'll see what Araujo has, but I want to talk about a lot of things regarding Pedri and many other players, also about Sevilla, which gave a rather poor impression. I'm telling you that tomorrow you'll have the ratings for the match, and you'll also get a video more specific about what Pedri has done. In the match, before we dive into, of course, Champions territory, I'll be in Manchester on Tuesday for that City Real Madrid. So let's analyze in depth. Sevilla possibly tot, Barça. Right, let's go. The derby of the straight is ours. A shout out to Mundo. Maldini, let's go. All right, let's go, friends of Mundo Maldini. As you've seen, you know we are ambassadors for Ceuta. Today, Ceuta won the derby of the straight against Algeciras. I'm happy because I want them to move up to the second division. Ceuta's not going to be easy, but let's have faith. And of course, the ones who need to have faith are the Barca fans. Given how the team is performing, I say that Barca is back. They had a significant slump that cost them, I would say, 9 points. Definitely 6 of those were clear against Leganés and against Leganés and against Las Palmas at home. Then for me, Atletico Madrid deserved to win that match. I said it, they lost that game. But Barca has gotten back up there, fighting for the title. Logically, given the level of this squad and how the team is doing, and today Barca played a great match. For me, he had a great match. It's true that Sevilla, on 2 or 3 occasions, caught that defense in front of Barca. In fact, that's how the equalizing goal came. A play where he is onside by millimeters. Saúl against Araujo. And logically, that play allowed Sevilla to equalize a match that at that moment they were already losing 1-0. And it looked pretty bad because Barca was being very superior. They were being very superior, especially through Pedri. Especially. Let's take a look at the 11 friends of Mundo Maldini. Because, let's see, there are a couple of things about Flick that are surprising me, especially with the substitutions. Here we have Sevilla's lineup with Nilan, Juanlu, Bade, Kike, Saúl, and Pedri. Gudel, who today returned to midfield after playing as a centre-back for many matches, and I think he played a good part of the game, half injured. So, and Saúl, and then Vargas, who I liked a lot in the first half. But this is going to be the worst game I remember from him with Sevilla. I think he's the best player on Sevilla, and he had a really bad game today. Isaac Romero, Barça Szczesny, who, by the way, has been quite good today. Koundé, Araujo, Íñigo Martínez, and Valde. Then Araujo's injury meant that Cuba came on, yes. Pedri, who has been a recital, an exhibition. And Frenkie de Jong has clearly already taken Casado's spot. I think it's clear that he has taken Casado's spot. Another thing is that Casado could come back to recover it. Lamine Yamal with some really good flashes, really good. But there wasn't much continuity in the game. But Raphinha had some magnificent flashes, scoring a spectacular goal, a stunning goal from Raphinha, Gavi, and Lewandowski. Today, Gavi got a yellow card pretty early on. I saw him very, very rushed. And in the end, it makes sense that he was substituted for Fermin. Interestingly, Fermin ended up being even more rushed because he made a tackle that should have been a red card. Clear. I think Fermin's tackle, and I'm sure when he sees the replay on TV, he'll realize that those kinds of tackles shouldn't be made because they are tackles. Here you have it. Those are tackles that can injure an opponent. I believe that in the end, the integrity of the opponents, of the players, has to come first above everything else. You can't see it very well here, but it's true that the tackle right. Here, look at this. How does he end up on the ground? Fortunately, Sao wasn't injured, but he could have been. Fernandez showed him a yellow card, then reviewed it in VAR and gave a red card that I think was clear, the red for Fermin. Fermin, who had just scored a goal with another exceptional pass from Pedri. About Pedri. That is why I insist it is that it converts the extraordinary into the everyday. You watch Pedri play, and it looks like what he does is easy. He always has the game in his head. He has the quality to make through balls. The first one, he makes a pass to Minya, but Minya poorly finishes it on the first touch, and it goes out for a goal kick. Fantastic. But the pass for the goal to Fermin is a pass that doesn't exist. Friends of Mundo, Maldini, it's a pass that practically doesn't exist. And he perfectly finds the exact space to put it right behind there, where Fermin arrived to score with a header, making it 1-2 in a match that, it's true, in the first half. Here we have Fermin celebrating the goal, with Pedri behind him, with Raphinha, with Valde, and with Lewandowski, who also scored his goal, the first for Barça. I mean, it's true that in the first half, Barça struggled at times because Sevilla caught them off guard. Here we have, by the way, Fermin's shot. Here we have him heading the ball. Fermin with Lewandowski right next to him. But I say that in the first half, it's true that Sevilla was counter-attacking dangerously. What many teams do against Barça is that the second-line midfielders are the ones who arrive because logically, they have an easier time to break through Barca's high defense. And it's true that it caused them problems. For me, Barca was superior practically the whole match. I have to say it. For me, they were superior for practically the whole match. But it's true that in the first half, there were moments that were a bit more even. Barca takes the lead early and Sevilla equalizes quickly. And from there, Barca struggles. Lamine creates danger, but not as much as in the second half where he really took control. It has always been Pedri is the one who has set up all the play. We were talking on Cope. One thing, tomorrow I want to make a video about this topic too. We were discussing on Cope who the most decisive player for Barca is. If it's Pedri, if it's Raphinha, if it's Lamine Yamal, if I were a rival of Barca and they asked me for one player I don't want to see play, I would say Pedri. I think Pedri is the engine, the soul of Barca. Then Lamine Yamal is a sensational spectacle. He wins matches. He brings rivals down. Raphinha too. Lewandowski without scoring goals. Everything you want. But in the end, I discussed this with Xavi Hernandez. Football is all about the midfielders, although the game is decided in the boxes. Because if you make a mistake in your area and in the opponents, you can definitely lose matches. But in the end, it's the midfielders who set the tone. He also told me that being a great midfielder, in my opinion, he is the best in the history of Spanish football, by the way. Now, Pedri, let me tell you something. If Pedri keeps up this level for many years, he could perfectly match Xavi's level. Because what Pedri is doing is exceptional. Exceptional playing in the double pivot. Today with Frenkie de Jong, it's again with Casado. But I do think that for sure Pedri is the player who should be the emblematic player of this Barca right now because of what Lamine Yamal is becoming. I love this photo, by the way. It kind of defines what La Masia is all about. The speed, the ability to create and unbalance, all of that he also had today, but not at the level by any means of the game that Pedri had. I want to comment on something about Sevilla. When they were down to 10, this is the goal from the shot. The first goal, by the way, from Romero Lewandowski, after a ball that Martinez won. When they were down to 10, Barca and Sevilla had one more player. I mentioned on Kopi that it almost doesn't matter to them. It will allow Barca not to score more goals against them, although they did score one more later. But it's a team that lacks the quality to truly dominate and sink their opponents. And Barca is not going to sink by its own initiative. So in the end, Sevilla had more possession in the final stretch of the match. Of course, they had more possession with one more player, but it hasn't ended at any moment. To unravel Barca, to make Barca uncomfortable. And that clearly defines the creation problems that Sevilla has. It clearly defines the creation problems that Sevilla has. In short, a clear victory for Barca. By the way, you're probably thinking, I'm also going to talk about this play. It doesn't seem right to me. Penalty. I think the Sevilla player is already a bit off balance. It's true. Does it touch him on the back? Football is a contact sport. He touches him a little on the back. The player falls. I don't think that's enough to warrant blowing the whistle. Penalty. This action by Koundé, which was, I think before the 1-3, if I'm not mistaken, this action by Koundé, hey, I don't think it's enough, friends from the world, Maldini, to call for penalties, honestly. That's what I think. And that's why I say it. Anyway, tomorrow you'll have the match ratings, of course. A very clear victory for Barca, a very important victory for Barca that tightens the league. And I want to finish as I started, because it's true that there have been players who have performed at a very good level, but what this guy did. You'll have a specific video about him tomorrow. Apart from the ratings, it was an absolute recital. A hug by